Uh, I've been saying to myself, well, like it feels like when you talk, it just. Well, I guess I need the interaction. Even though when I speak, I mean, right now, I mean, somehow something about it is working very well compared to writing. I mean, just when I write, I guess the difference is when I write, I really write to myself. I mean, for the most part, because it needs to be edited. I mean, I just throw in whatever. A lot of times, it's not very focused. So I have a lot of writing, and maybe I'll show a picture on my vlog. But it's a mess, having ADD and so forth. I'm not complaining, but the point I'm making is that the what? Okay, so I'm realizing. Okay, so I'm just practicing. Someone used to say, throw things against the wall and see what sticks. So this is not perfect. I don't know if this will or won't be edited. But what do I want to say? I want to say that instead of writing a book, well, I've been really trying to complete the book. And at the same time, I'm thinking, hey, these videos that I hopefully, would like to do frequently, I can explain a lot. I feel like my book needs explaining. My ideas need explaining. I can cut this video short, and maybe I'll do that. Well, before I cut it short, so I was thinking of talking about a few things today. And one is, or if I need to, I can split this. Okay, I'll continue. So it just came to me while I was dancing, aerobic dancing, which I said I feel like God speaks to me, or higher conscious, higher mind speaks to me, like some people when they meditate. Right, so it came, maybe vlogging is the way to transmit ideas. And I've been thinking to myself, really, it's ideas that really matter to me. I was, for a while, I was thinking, hey, maybe I should write an autobiography, or sell an autobiography to a publisher and throw in with that my book, because I really want ideas, And for that, I really don't feel it's about me. I really feel and hope that all my effort will not be for naught, and that someone, at least one person, would enjoy it. And I think a lot of people ought to enjoy it if they only knew what it's about. So here, I'll give an example of what just came to me. So I was thinking, what I do, there's the word onomatopoeia, and a lot of people misunderstand onomatopoeia, But the funny thing about words is that words are whatever people say they are. Society decides, right? We're in the business of words. I am, so people decide what a word means, So apparently in English, from somewhere I read, onomatopoeia means one thing, but actually when Plato discussed onomatopoeia, he talked about something very different. So in English, it's possible that onomatopoeia means sound, but really the word actually has no word sound in it. The word onomatopoeia actually is onoma in Greek, means name, okay? Pia means make. So basically it means make a name. So basically which means that which made the name. So whatever it is in the word, whether it's sound or something else, that's onomatopoeia, that which made the word. The reason why the word came into being, the presupposition with this word is onomatopoeia, it's not sound. That which made the name, meaning there's a reason why a name exists, why a name is a word. A word is a name for something, right? So onomatopoeia is the reason for the word coming to existence. And Plato, it's important, and then beyond Plato, I'll talk about some examples that I have right now. So I think the lack of imagination, I think the problem is, I don't know of anyone who really wrote extensively on this, especially for the public. I mean, there are, some studies, what they call iconicity, which is another word for how words have meaning besides sound. The sound, iconicity, whatever. I mean, it gets complicated, but okay. So I was talking about Plato, right? So he talked about things that were not sound. Well, he talked about R being all about energy and speed, or just energy, and I being small. You see, I being small, but you're not imitating something small. There's something about I. But he also talks about O, that that it's round. It's not about sound. It's really not about sound. Um, but what I think it is about, well, it's about whatever it is that makes meaning. So I think, yeah, like I said, I think it's people have trouble imagining what beyond sound could be captured. And today, 3 words or 4 words came to mind that I thought, would be a great example to talk about of what I mean. And I call it enactment of meaning. And I'll explain. Okay, so the word tip of tongue touching, right? I feel that these 3 words, the first letter, okay? So part of my theory after all this observation, or I noticed early on, often the first letter is the most important. So if you want to say how can onomatopoeia or intuitive language work, it could be one letter, but the first is often the one that sets the tone. So, okay, so tip of tongue touching. Those 3 T's, each one in a way is engaged in a way that reenacts the word, okay? Tip. When you say tip, you're actually touching the tip of the tongue. You really touch tip tongue. When you're saying tongue, you're touching the tongue. Touch, tip, tongue. Touch. When you say touch, you're touching. Right? Touch. So basically, this is what I mean by another form of onomatopoeia and potential, right? Nobody knows for sure what the original meaning was, but also, and then it's a question about who decides what something means, especially with words. Words have many connotations. You have the idea from a philosopher called Derrida, which is really hard to understand him, but he says, deconstruction. The idea is, okay, like you have a piece of art. You think it means one thing, but someone else think it means something else. Who's right? And if the person who made the sculpture or the painting tells you, this is what I meant, does it matter what he meant? Or does the art stand on its own? And the same thing here, like the word onomatopoeia, okay? Some people decided onomatopoeia means words that sound like something. Not that there's other things that could be imitated. Words that sound like a thing, and they forgot about everything else, because most people don't know what everything else is. But I'm actually here to show you what it may be, okay? So I was thinking actually 2 titles of chapters. I may or may not use them, but it's like, what if and why not? Okay, so one way to look at the ideas that I have. So here, like touch, tip, tongue. Okay, these 3, touch, tip, tongue, right? The reenactments, and they're not about sound. Okay, so that's what I'm trying. And there's a lot more, okay? I spent 25 years thinking about this. I have a lot. I've been holding myself back because I wanted to publish. I didn't want to lose copyrights, but here I am. Okay, I'm here. I may have not tied when I was speaking, I might have not tied a loose thread that I started, but I'm planning, God willing, keep doing this, because really, I feel like there's joy to be had. It's free. Think. Do you like onomatopoeia? A lot of people like onomatopoeia. Why? Think. Why do you like onomatopoeia? But the fact is, a lot of people enjoy onomatopoeia, right? Now, imagine if onomatopoeia was way beyond what. If you have joy, okay, it's a joy multiplier. Really, I'm not talking about really joy. They say do what gives you joy, and really, there's a battle of endorphin. They talk about endorphin. I've been listening to people talk about ADHD, and they say, ADHD, the body does not, I guess chemically low on, not endorphins, dopamine. You're low on dopamine. So people are always seeking excitement because dopamine's low. You're trying to build it, right? So actually, it ties into my work, right? Because sometimes I'd rather trade stocks, play the stock market, than write my book. Honestly, it's really not easy. It's just to sit down is hard. But what I'm saying, here's the point. Dopamine, okay? Joy. Sometimes I have to pick which joy I want. This is a discipline. This is not easy. And also, to go online, to go live, I've been dreading it for years. And I'm glad I'm hopefully in a new phase here where I'll really put it out. A lot of fear stopped me in the past, but that's in the past, okay? I have a lot to say. I looked at least 500 words, not just English, Hebrew, there's a lot. There's really a lot, and I have an entire system. I know for sure. It's not that I know. I'm going to tell you how it is. No. Why not? And what if? I'm presenting possibilities. Now, are they all true? Are some of them true? But also, do you feel it? I mean, really, this is the title that I once thought of my book is Intuitive Language. Intuitive. So really, I'm not here to lecture. It's really to find. The point is, I'm not trying to teach you, so to speak. I want you to see if whatever it is that I suggest makes sense to you. Does it resonate? That's all. If it resonates, good. If it doesn't resonate, that's okay, right? But I think them ideas will expand your mind if you stick with it. There's a lot here. So really, you gotta forget about onomatopoeia sound only. I mean, I enjoy onomatopoeia too, and I may now and then put it in, especially if I think people aren't aware of the onomatopoeia in a word. But again, think, what if language has had more to it than we assume, right? And why not? Why not? For example, when you say mouth, you're clamping your lips, right? When you say tongue, you're touching your tongue. Not once, but usually the 3 consonants of tongue in most languages that I have seen, and I looked at over 100, I mean, some borrow from each other, all of them use the tongue, especially the first letter, but most, 99% of languages use tongue exclusively. Now, if you wanted to say tongue intuitively, would you use the lips? No. Can I prove to you that was the intent? I cannot prove, but, there may be some statistical studies that someone else could do, because, I was holding everything for myself. Maybe I'll do this statistical study and prove, language, people, there's something deeper going on. I'll leave it to someone else. Hopefully they can cite me. This video, I don't know how it works in the world of citations, but I'm going to share ideas that I think are reasonable, for me, and see if it's reasonable for you. If it resonates, good. If not, no. If you don't want to think of it as truth, think of it as poetry. It's another layer. If you're, it's a layer, right? Touch, tip, tongue. Touch, tip, tongue. You're touching the tip of the tongue when you say touch, tip. And you're touching the tongue. So I think of the tongue as a finger. At times, it's a gesturing device. Tongue is a finger. Touch, tip, tongue. You're touching the tip of the tongue. Think of you touching the tip. Some people say, language used to be gesture, and then it shifted into the mouth. So here I'm showing you how. Touch, tip, tongue. Touch, tip, tongue. It was a gesture. Touch, tip, tongue. There's a theory I read online, a scholar or someone, said that it's an idea. He said they say language exploded during the agricultural period, right? First, people were hunters-gatherers, and they were not living in a fixed community in a stable address, and they did a lot of hunting. But the theory goes, once people formed communities, they were more people together, and they were working in agriculture, so their hands were tied, and that's when language leaped from gesture into the mouth. I think this meant it came from gesture, but then, the brain infrastructure for language existed for gesture, but I don't think anybody really, I don't know of anyone who said the exact same things that I just said. I've seen a lot of other things that people do say about iconicity. They call it iconicity, where, let's say the word B means round, and, the things that others say. Plato says I means small, A means large. I mean, these are things other people say, but what I just said, touch, tip, tongue, the reenactment part, I have never heard anyone say it, and I think it's worth, you can call it a meditation. One more word, lump. You realize when you say lump, that's another reenactment. You feel the lump when you say lump. You're creating a lump, okay? Anyway, so, it's about joy, really. It's not about anything else, It's something that I have enjoyed deeply, and I hope that by my sharing it, other people can enjoy it.